Vlogmas day 19.
Oh, but I'm in Copacabana, tanning up.
My light unfortunately died today, so we just have to live with this situation. So today has been snowing all day, but it actually turned into some like moist snow. It wasn't fun to walk home, and I'm actually really afraid of going to work tomorrow. I hope it's not super slippery. We'll see. So as you know, I did the Christmas at Hogwarts magical readathon by Book Roast, and I had to read certain books to get to the Christmas feast. I can tell you that I didn't reach it because I didn't read all the books I was planning to do, but that's okay. But I managed to read a few of them, including The Mystery of Three Quarters, the new Hercule Poirot mystery by Sophie Hannah, and I loved it. I don't understand why the ratings were not that good at Goodreads. I just loved it so much, and I'm really looking forward to read the other ones. I think she has 3 more, and I'm hoping that she's currently writing the next one because I love them so much and it's so much fun and it's so difficult, and in the end I had no idea who it was, and I just love these kind of books where you in the end have no clue who it was and then it's gonna be a big surprise at the end. I just love them. So I have been reading the Body Kindness book by Rebecca Scritchfield, but I'm only halfway through. So I will have to read a little bit more over the next couple of days or weeks, I guess. So far I really like it, but it's so much input, so many things you could do, so many journaling questions and actions you could take that I feel like just reading it won't change anything. I really have to work through that book. So that's probably something I could do next year. Then I finished Agatha Christie Murder at the Vicarage, and it's so funny, when I started reading it I recognized that I had read it before, and I also remembered a few things, but I didn't remember who was the murderer. And this is just something I love so much with Agatha Christie. The cases are usually so complicated that at the end you don't remember who it was. So again, it was a fantastic book, especially now in the winter time to read. If you have recommendations for books that are similar to Agatha Christie or Sherlock Holmes, please let me know, because I think I've read already a lot of them, but I can never stop. I always go back to Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple and Sherlock Holmes, and I just love them so much. Then I actually finished my Christmas calendar, which was like a crime over 24 days, and I had to open every day and I would find out a little bit, but it would always end on a cliffhanger. Of course, everything ended well at the end and they could find out everything. And as a Christmas gift, I already got the next one for 2020, which I will read next year. I have tried to find similar Christmas calendars for adults, but there is actually none. There are some books out there that have like 24 stories, but nothing that is like continuing like a soap opera. And I think this is something that makes it so more exciting, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to continue read, but I have to wait until tomorrow. So I think I'm gonna stick with my children books. So we told you before, I'm almost at 50 books for this year. I actually had only a goal of 24, and this will be also the goal for next year. But when I reached over 40, I was like, okay, if I read 40, I can do 50. And I'm now at 49. I'm almost done. And then I asked myself what kind of book I could read that will be quite fast. And I chose Guro Sibeko, Rasismens Poetic. This is a book by a Norwegian who has a father from South Africa. And she experienced so much racism, and she still does on a daily basis. And she studied and researched in this part, and she wrote this book, which is partly poems and partly histories of her life. And some of them are really, really hard to read. This is actually part of a book club that I'm doing with my friend Melina. And it's just so, it is really moving. And so here in Norway, I'm used to the question, where are you from? Because I have an accent in my Norwegian. So this is very normal for me, although I'm always like, no, I wish I could speak perfectly and then nobody would knew that I'm from Germany. But that's okay. It's part of my identity, so I'm happy to be German and very Norwegian as well. I hope so. But it must be so hard to be born in this country and people do not accept the fact that you belong to this country, that this is your nationality, this is your history, this is your identity. So she said, how many times people ask me, where are you from? And she says, from Norway. And then they say, but where are you actually from? She said she went to South Africa when she was 18. So for 18 years, her life and her history was made here in Norway. She's a Norwegian, but so many people do not accept that. Reading this book is really hard. It must be so tough to face racism every day and knowing that it won't change anything because you can't change your color. And I feel very, very sorry for her. A situation at work where I was participating in a job interview, and the candidate, she, as you could read through the CV, she had been born here in Norway, she had been living here for her whole life. She was speaking perfectly Norwegian because she was a Norwegian, but she had not a typical Norwegian name. And once the interviewer said, oh yeah, and you speak so well Norwegian, and I'm like, that must be so hurting to get this kind of comment because it sounds so well meant, but it isn't at all. It is robbing you a part of your identity, I feel like. I said something after the interview and told this person and I said that this was not okay to say because she is Norwegian. You can't tell somebody like that, something like that. You can't tell a Norwegian that, oh, you speak very well Norwegian. By saying, oh, you speak very well Norwegian, you do not accept that this person is actually Norwegian. Yeah, I had to think a lot about this book. So my friend picked out this book and I'm really happy she did. But I think I will need something more lighthearted for the next one then. So that was my little wrap up. I'm really happy that I managed to read so many books this year, but I'm really proud of myself that I got myself into more in the habit of reading. Maybe I'm gonna make a video about how to read more. Let me know if you would like to see that. This Vlogmas is almost over. I really enjoyed it. It was really tough in between, but it was so much fun and I learned a lot about it. And I also got some new subscribers, which I'm really happy about. So nice to have you here around. And I will see you tomorrow for the last Vlogmas, day 20. Bye bye.